This is with constant recovery. This is census. The capital of South Korea, Seoul, could disappear in just 5 minutes. Currently, North Korea's nuclear missiles are still targeting the capital, Seoul, and a single nuclear bomb could cause tens or even hundreds of thousands of deaths. So, is there really a way for us to stop this deadly threat? Today, let's try to find the answer to that question. Let's get started. Actually, although many people tend to overlook this, North Korea's current nuclear weapons and missile capabilities are truly a threat to South Korea. First, let's take a look at North Korea's current nuclear capabilities. According to a 2023 report by the Korea Institute for Defense Analyses, considering the scale and progress of enrichment facilities and the time involved, it is estimated that North Korea possesses about 2,000 QUs of highly enriched uranium, enough for up to 80 warheads, and between 68 QUs and 78 QUs of plutonium, enough for 17 to 19 warheads. Of course, these nuclear materials can't be stored or used indefinitely. This amount of nuclear material can only be used for about 10 years.
That's why
we need to keep producing them continuously. Currently, the 5-megawatt Yongbyon reactor operated by North Korea can produce about 78 kilos of plutonium in 10 years. As I explained earlier, it is estimated that North Korea can currently produce about 2,000 kilos of highly enriched uranium and about 68 to 78 kilos of plutonium. Many organizations, institutions, and experts estimate that North Korea possesses at least 40 and up to 100 nuclear weapons. Currently, North Korea is also capable of striking Washington, District of Columbia, the capital of the United States, with its missiles. In addition, North Korea has also succeeded in launching SLBMs and is believed to have secured miniaturization technology and intercontinental ballistic missile re-entry technology, so it is assessed that North Korea is capable of launching a nuclear attack on South Korea at any time. From South Korea's perspective, this is a very significant threat. North Korea's nuclear weapons have become such a serious threat that even within the United States, nuclear war and preemptive strikes are being seriously discussed. But before we begin, let me say that nuclear weapons can only be countered with other nuclear weapons. The best option would be for us to arm ourselves with nuclear weapons as well, but since that's not realistic, we'll have to find other ways to respond to nuclear weapons. Just because nuclear weapons can only be countered with other nuclear weapons, does that mean we should just sit back and watch North Korea's nuclear weapons? Of course not. The current goal of North Korea's nuclear missile policy is ultimately to be recognized as a nuclear-armed state. North Korea has been working toward this goal ever since it began developing nuclear weapons in earnest. Why is that? Currently, North Korea's conventional military power is very weak. No joke, if South Korea and North Korea went to war, the result would be decided in just a week. But if they have nuclear weapons, the story changes. If a country with nuclear weapons and a country without nuclear weapons go to war, and nuclear weapons are actually used, the country without nuclear weapons can never win against the country with them. That's how powerful nuclear weapons are. That's why, based on these nuclear weapons, North Korea wants to be recognized as a nuclear-armed state, hoping to maintain its current regime forever. In fact, if this happens, our country will inevitably be dragged along by North Korea. Also, since liberation, North Korea has never given up its ambition to communize the Korean peninsula, and even now, it continues to carry out operations against South Korea. That's why our country needs to find a way to neutralize these nuclear weapons. Currently, South Korea seems to be considering two main options. First is the Korean-style three-axis system strategy, which you've probably heard a lot about in the military. You might know it better as Kill Chain. Kill Chain is an integrated strike plan that neutralizes the enemy's nuclear facilities and mobile nuclear missile launchers within 30 minutes through 4 stages. 5 minutes for detection, 2 minutes for identification, 3 minutes for decision-making, and 20 minutes for strike. To explain it a bit more, regardless of the time or location, if it looks like North Korea is about to launch a nuclear attack, the target is immediately neutralized. If the target isn't completely destroyed in a single strike, the operation involves repeating the attacks until the objective is fully eliminated. Currently, the kill chain capability is considered to be fully operational as of 2025, and the most important part of this kill chain is gathering intelligence. Continuous reconnaissance and surveillance are conducted to identify any unusual signs. Wide area detection tools such as reconnaissance satellites are used to broadly monitor for any anomalies. This is exactly why so many military satellites are being launched right now. The next step is the verification stage, where we determine whether the unusual sign is actually an attack or just a simple training exercise. And the next step is tracking. For targets identified as enemies, we prioritize which surveillance assets, such as reconnaissance satellites, frontline surveillance and control aircraft, or drones, will track them and then maintain target tracking. And the next step is decision making, which is determining which weapons and units to deploy to eliminate the target. In this process, we select the weapons needed for engagement and make the decision to engage. Next comes the actual engagement. After receiving the order to engage, we are assigned to monitor the target, move to the target, and then drop or launch the designated weapons to eliminate the target. target. And then comes the assessment, where we evaluate whether the enemy target has been completely destroyed, whether the strike was effective, or if another strike is needed. Now, as you can see, there are a lot of steps involved. We have to do all this in just 30 minutes, and honestly, there are many challenging parts. Currently, North Korea's nuclear missiles have completed the process of solid fuel conversion. Because of this, it takes about 7 minutes from the time North Korea's mobile launch vehicle stops to the actual missile launch. But the United States already used a similar concept to this kill chain during the Gulf War. It took the United States about 40 minutes, and if South Korea actually tries it, it will probably take even longer. If it takes North Korea 7 minutes to launch a missile, and it takes us more than 40 minutes to eliminate that target, Seoul will already be wiped off the map. That's why it's physically impossible to stop North Korea's nuclear missiles with a kill chain before they're launched. On top of that, even if the kill chain succeeds, it's still a problem if North Korea has another hidden nuclear missile launch system. You might think it's a relief that we've eliminated them all, but the problem is, you never know when or where another one might suddenly be launched. Even the United States can't be sure it can find or destroy all of the enemy's targets, so how could the South Korean military do it? It's difficult. Also, these weapon systems are made up of high-performance, expensive equipment, and since they have to monitor all of North Korea 24 hours a day, it's a huge burden for the South Korean military. It costs a lot of money and requires a lot of manpower, so it's not cost-effective. Even if just one of these weapon systems is neutralized by the enemy, or if even one of the steps I mentioned earlier fails, the operation can't succeed. For example, if a reconnaissance satellite or a high-altitude unmanned aerial vehicle is neutralized, the kill chain can't function from the very first detection stage, so it can't move on to the next step. Then we just have to sit back and take whatever North Korea does. Of course, the South Korean military isn't foolish, so they've prepared for all these situations. There's a surest way to preemptively stop North Korea's nuclear missile attack. In an emergency, you just have to eliminate the person who has the authority to use nuclear weapons. That's right, it's about getting rid of Kim Jong-un. North Korea has nuclear weapons in various situations, and there are currently countless ballistic missiles and launch platforms as delivery systems, so attacking those delivery systems is extremely inefficient and highly likely to fail. But if you take out the person who has the authority to use nuclear weapons, you can really neutralize North Korea's nuclear weapons in just one move. This is called the Korean Massive Punishment and Retaliation Strategy, or Korean Massive Punishment and Retaliation. It's a strategy to secure the capability to carry out a retaliatory operation that can bombard and wipe out parts of Pyongyang if there are signs of a nuclear attack, and to operate special forces units to eliminate Kim Jong-un and other wartime command leaders. Pyongyang is divided into certain zones, and if clear signs of a nuclear weapon attack are detected, the zone where the wartime command could be hiding would simply be wiped off the map. South Korea has more than enough firepower for that. And if any risk factors are detected, such as Kim Jong-un and the wartime command trying to launch a nuclear missile, the plan is to immediately strike that area with missiles possessed by our military. Currently, our country possesses a variety of bunker busters, ballistic missiles, and Hyunmoo missiles. If we really press the button, we can wipe out Pyongyang. In fact, we have more than 1,000 Hyunmoo missiles, so we have more than enough. Even if he's hiding in a bunker, we have plenty of Taurus missiles and various bunker busters, so there are many ways to strike the bunker where Kim Jong-un is hiding. This kind of Korean-style massive retaliation strategy is the best operational concept we can use without having nuclear weapons. Also, the concept of a retaliation operation against the North Korean leadership includes infiltrating special forces to eliminate key figures in North Korea, including Kim Jong-un, as well as critical weapons facilities. Currently, the 13th Special Mission Brigade of the Special Warfare Command is carrying out that role. Right now, there's an ongoing project to upgrade 24 Black Hawk helicopters used by the Special Forces, and 3 trillion won has been invested in the project to secure large special operations helicopters.
And for special operations,
the introduction of light tactical vehicles is also being promoted.
It's in progress. Infantry.
They are continuously introducing better equipment, so from North Korea's perspective, the 13th Special Mission Brigade is a very burdensome unit. Also, the United States has a method called the nuclear umbrella. A nuclear umbrella is when a nuclear-armed country provides complete protection to its allies or friendly non-nuclear countries by using or threatening to use its nuclear weapons to deter or defend against hostile forces' invasions or other attacks. The United States has been providing a nuclear umbrella to its ally Korea since 1978. So, they use strategic assets capable of carrying nuclear weapons, such as conventional weapons, interceptor missiles, nuclear-powered submarines, and stealth bombers, to deter North Korea's nuclear missile attacks and to neutralize them in the event of an actual nuclear attack. Of course, the United States nuclear umbrella and strategic assets can deter North Korea's willingness to attack, but relying solely on the United States could also be dangerous. If you ask whether the United States would really give up New York for Seoul, they wouldn't be able to answer. That's because they wouldn't protect Seoul at the cost of losing New York. That's why we need to have powerful military strength that can overpower our enemies. Only strong power can maintain peace. Currently, we are preparing and operating a strong shield to counter the threat of North Korea's nuclear weapons. It would be nice to have a spear too, but I think it would be very difficult. What do you all think about South Korea's current strategy to neutralize North Korea's nuclear missiles? Please let us know in the comments. That's the end of the video. Bye.